Welcome to the Get Back, music work talk in Central Texas, Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed private sector employment law attorney of your choice. All right. Welcome to the Get Back. It's June 25th, 2021. And yeah, we always start the broadcast with the reminder about the website links at the bottom. They're usually the most reliable places to get info on unemployment and resources for restarting the music business in Central Texas. So yeah, we always start with beverages as well. Mark is joining me today. I've got coffee. What are you drinking, Mark?
Well, I'm not. Seeing as I'm relocated upstairs, I forgot my green tea.
So. Outrageous! Yes, I see you're in a different place there.
Yeah.
Got some books in the background. You must be at the family library there. Love it.
Yeah, I'm in my office actually.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right on, brother. Yeah, I'm glad you could be here, man. Yeah. Well, I thought we'd probably start with the most obvious thing is the unemployment cutoff thing that's happening tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Last. Yeah.
Yep. Tomorrow's the last day to file
in Texas and in many other states. But yeah, I think there's still some confusion on that point because I think it's tomorrow's the last day you can claim income for, but it's not the last day to file, right? Because presumably for this week you'll have to file next week.
I thought. Well,
payment request.
Maybe I'm confused about that. I thought the 26th was the last day to file, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the last day to collect benefits, so you can file next week. Maybe you're right.
I think it's the last day to collect, or the last week to collect benefits for is this week right now.
Right.
Yeah. So we don't want anybody to forget to file. And Daisy was on last week, and the way she put it was just make the payment request until they don't allow you to make the payment requests anymore. That's really probably the best policy. Just keep making them as long as they'll let you. Regardless.
Well, I think they'll let you make it, but I don't think they'll pay you anything.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if they're ending the type of unemployment assistance that you're on, then yeah, at some point they're going to stop letting you, I would think. But who knows? We'll find out, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, we sure will.
Yeah, but it's definitely the thing to be aware of this week, for sure. You may have noticed that I'm wearing my hair long today. We've been doing some old-fashioned marching this week.
Yeah.
We were downtown a couple times. Last Sunday there was a rally for the People Act down at the Capitol, and I think I saw 7 or 8 musicians down there, and ran into some I hadn't seen for years, even before the pandemic.
Wow.
Ran into Chuggy down there. I don't know if you saw my picture with Chuggy. He had a trumpet, and it was great, man. And a lot of great speakers down there, and they talked about the Texas Democrats walking out, to halt the the voter suppression bill a few weeks ago, and so.
Right. Yeah.
But that was a fun time. And then yesterday in the morning, there was a very musician unfriendly time in the morning, but the weather's better in the morning. But there was a sort of a march. What was it? There was a demonstration outside of Lloyd Doggett's office about unemployment reform, and then we presented a report about unemployment reform to Congressman Doggett's staff, and then marched to the Capitol and presented the
Right.
letters to Governor Abbott, about not halting unemployment aid for workers that still need it, because there's a lot of us that can't get a job no matter what we do. Of course, us squirrely freelancers like yourself, sir, we're finding all kinds of different things, but it is coming back slowly, and certainly our theater workers, you can't just spin up a theater production, overnight. It takes months of planning.
Right, planning and stuff. Yeah.
So that's what we were doing really there. We were marching with our brothers and sisters from Actors Equity and IATSE, the Stagehands Union, the theater workers, and also members, people from the Texas AFL-CIO office, and other people. There was a massage therapist there as well, that has, like us, has found different ways to get back to work, but it's not all coming back like it was, and it's going to be a slow process. And so anyway, we did that action yesterday, and that was a lot of fun too.
Oh, you turned in the letters on Thursday?
Yep, yeah, we delivered them right to the governor's office at the Capitol, and
great, yeah.
Cool. And I was marching with a snare drum, and they let me take the drum right into the Capitol. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
They had some of the folks had fans that said extend the aid on the little fans, like a personal little fan, like a church fan, and they wouldn't let those in the building because they had a stick on them, but they let the drumsticks in. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that worked, but an interesting point there. If you want to bring drumsticks into the Capitol, apparently that's okay. So
yeah. Well, I mean, drums used to be outlawed in the United States and throughout much of Europe.
There you go.
For centuries,
Mm-hmm.
It was drums were considered to be the voice of evil.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Yeah. In fact, some of those laws spurred the creation of the steel drum and the cajon in various countries. So you can't kill it.
That's right.
Yeah, you can't kill the spirit. So right on, everybody that was at those actions. Solidarity. It was great to see you all there. But nevertheless, tomorrow is the day that the cutoff happens in Texas, and at least 20 other states, I think, are also cutting that off, sort of in response to employers that are saying that they can't get enough workers because the workers are getting too much unemployment assistance, which, that is so frustrating to hear, for folks.
God forbid anybody would think that it's just that workers don't want to work at those crappy jobs anymore.
Yeah.
With low pay and bad working conditions, and
Yeah.
I mean, that couldn't be the explanation.
No, yeah. Couldn't be a wage shortage. It has to be a worker shortage. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And there was even some local television coverage with some local businesses yesterday that was really, really disappointing to hear people articulating that point of view. It's just, really disappointing. But
I think it's rampant.
It is.
I think there's lots and lots of outlets for that misinformation there. I mean, friends of mine who are generally fairly liberal sometimes say that to me. I think the level of misinformation about that is pretty high.
It really is. Yeah, they're pushing it, on social media, and I mean, obviously it's influenced the legislation in almost half the country, if not more than half the country.
Right
now.
Right.
So oof. So and a few of the folks yesterday at the demonstration, that spoke talked about how this is also the beginning of the summer break for kids, for
Right.
school, and right when they hit the summer break, these parents, are having to have their kids at home, and now they're supposed to go and find a job,
Yeah.
or one of
Yeah.
these jobs where they're, gone all night or something like that, and there's no child care, and yeah, it's pretty messed up, but.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And of course, we want them to all just come out and see live music, but you got to have disposable income to come out and see live music. So come on, folks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. So, so we'll put the same two articles we've been putting in the show notes down at the bottom. The one about from the Statesman about the ceasing of unemployment benefits, and then the one from the TWC website as well that has really
Mhm.
more of the facts on there. I have talked to a few musicians who had an interesting situation where they were on temporary. It's called temporary unemployment assistance.
Hmm.
And then they got a notice from the TWC that said, "Oh, temporary unemployment assistance is the same as PEUC, and that is also ending." So, if that happened to you, and you thought maybe because you were on temporary unemployment assistance, and not one of the other ones that's listed, apparently that's the same as PEUC, which is
Which is ending. Either
ending. Yeah.
either way.
Yep.
Either way.
Yeah. Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program. Yeah. So that's ending as well, which is not good news, of course. So, yeah, man. Well, let's talk about the eviction moratorium
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Well,
What
there's
did you hear about that?
I read, I guess it was 2 days ago, that Biden had declared that the eviction moratorium would continue until the end of July.
And that's the federal one because Biden was talking about it.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
So the guideline is that there should not be any evictions before the end of July.
Right. Yeah. And then we got a few states that are challenging that, I think, right? Or maybe they're state like landlord conglomerates or something like that. Somebody in a few states they're challenging the
Yeah.
federal moratorium. But yeah, but that should be good news. Yeah, end of July, and it goes a little further, I think, here, right, in the city or in Travis County. I think it goes a little
In
further.
this, yeah.
But outside of Travis County, yeah, I think it doesn't go that far. So just something to be aware of. Of course, our musicians live further and further out of town now as it gets more expensive. So yeah, that could be affecting some of us as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I talked to some folks at the Action yesterday also about the city rent relief program, which ostensibly has funding even left over from last year, and including funding for this year. And some of those folks were really having a lot of trouble getting to that funding, but apparently it's there.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we do recommend trying to get that funding for sure, especially if you're depending on unemployment assistance that's drying up now. That's another avenue for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So and of course the food bank still operating. That they've been the Austin Food Bank has been a champion through this whole period. So help is available there too. But, and there is a link there on our COVID resources page on the union site. So yeah.
What was the delay that people were having with the rent assistance?
Oh, I think it was just the paperwork. I think there's
Really?
something you have to. They were telling me, a few folks were telling me at the thing yesterday that there's a part of the application where you have to prove that you've exhausted other avenues for aid or something, and that was sort of the holdup. Because they couldn't prove. Was like they couldn't prove that they had exhausted all their options for unemployment yet because they hadn't heard back from the TWC or something, some sort of delay
Right, yeah. Huh.
in the paperwork there or something, and confusion, and so yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it's yeah, I think it's worth worth it to keep trying. I think the rent relief avenue is really a good way to go because it does get the landlord off your back as well, because he gets paid.
Because he gets paid, or they get paid.
He or she
yeah.
gets paid. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. Or they. So, yeah, man. You can still send the letter that we talked about last week to the governor about extending the aid. So that campaign is still active, still easy to send that letter if you haven't done that yet. I'll put that link in the show notes too. Yeah. But I also wanted to mention the radio bill that was introduced yesterday. The federal government, and this is another attempt to get musicians paid for radio play in the U.S. We already get paid in most other countries around the world for radio play, excuse me. And in the U.S., we never really have for terrestrial radio. It was always assumed that the radio, rankings translated directly into record sales, right? Which was true when we were selling physical products.
Mhm.
But of course, that's not happening anymore at all. And so this is not the Local Radio Freedom Act. That's the bad one. That's the one we don't want. That's the one that's actually being backed by the big radio corporations that makes it so that we don't get paid for anything. We continue to not get paid for any terrestrial radio play.
Freedom from money.
Yeah, freedom from money. That's right. That's very popular amongst the gilded class. They want to free us from money. Yeah. So So this act is called. Let me get it right here. It's brand new. The American Music Fairness Act, AMFA. American Music Fairness Act, and that's one that's again, the AFM has helped to draft that bill and is supporting it, along with many other stakeholders. There's a group called Music First, the Recording Academy, Alliance for Community Media, a bunch of groups that represent community radio stations. Not because community radio stations benefit from this, but because community radio stations are sort of in line with the cause of this. They support a variety of musicians rather than just the top 40, or something like that. So
This is a House bill.
Let's see. Yes. Yeah, I believe it's in the House right now. Yeah, starting there. So, several musicians were there yesterday at the announcement for the new bill. Dionne Warwick was there. Sam Moore and Ken Casey from the Dropkick Murphys was there. Some actual musicians were there, so that's good. And again, the American Federation of Musicians has been. This is like the fifth time or something that we're trying to get something passed that accomplishes this goal of getting musicians paid for terrestrial radio play in the U.S. Because it's just the right thing to do, particularly with the erosion of physical media sales that we've experienced over the last 10 years with Spotify and Pandora and Apple Music just dumping money into the ocean to make sure that nobody ever buys CDs anymore. That's kind of what we've experienced. So this is another stream of revenue that musicians really desperately need. So there we go. A lot of folks talk about it. There are other organizations that talk about this issue. But the AFM's been working on this for decades now, and doing it the right way through getting it into legislation that will actually make it the law. And of course, it doesn't get talked about a lot because, union stuff doesn't get that much coverage, especially our union, because we are negotiating with the same media companies that own the news outlets. So again, the revolution will not be televised, brothers and sisters. That is the reality of it. But it's happening again. There's also, I'm going to post the first article I saw about this, which is from a website called All Access. But there's also an article in Variety I saw, and somebody post as well, and so we got to talk about it, let people know, and look out. Maybe we can start some letter writing campaigns about it, and let people know that it's important, because we're all trying to get back on our feet, for goodness sakes. So yeah, let's see. That's about all I've got on my docket today. You got anything else, Mark?
No, that was it.
Right on. Right
Yeah.
on. Okay. Well, yeah. If you're going back to work as a musician, you're probably playing outside. You might be playing inside, but if you're playing outside, stay hydrated, and it's hot out there. And yeah, stay cool, and don't give up. That's the main thing. We got to go back to work for the sake of everybody and the whole industry. So, all right. Well, we'll be here next week, talking about the same stuff, same subjects, hopefully different news, and hopefully better news. And come join us. And thank you for being here, Mark.
Yep.
And
thank you.
we'll see y'all
See you
next
next week.
Stay cool.